Hello, I'm Clarissa, and our topic for today is ready, aim, goal for it. Let me brief you a little bit about the topic, what we are going to discuss, and then very briefly about myself. Ready, aim, goal for it, as you've already realized, is about setting and achieving your goals. We're going to discuss the importance of goals, how we're going to set them, the importance of setting them, and your plans to achieve them. Like I said earlier, I'm Clarissa. I am a certified learning and development consultant. I'm associated with WeSchool for over 2 years now. So there is a saying which goes as, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And that exactly is what happens when you don't have a goal in mind. A lot of times without goals, we're directionless, due to which we while away time. There is a lot of lack of motivation as we don't know what it is that we want to do. We decide we want to do something, we set off and start off doing it, but somewhere along the line, some of us realize it's a little challenging, it's problematic, it's difficult, and we find that too overwhelming, and we take a back seat again. So these are concerns that come along, especially in the early times of our careers, when we decide what to do, but we're not very sure. And because of all of this, a lot of times there is lack of confidence, which eventually leads to also low self-esteem, and we're not very ready for a lot of things. So let's understand now that we've understood what happens without goals. Let's now understand how is it that we want to set them. Okay, so before we get into setting goals, let's first get to what really goals are. So what is a goal? There would be a lot of definitions, and there are, but let me simply put this across to you. A goal is a dream which has a deadline. It is something which you can measure. It is something that pushes you every day to do what you wish to do. It is something that you set out and are passionate about. It needs to be measured from time to time. You must have a deadline. If you do not, it could go on and on. All right. Now, let's also get to this. As there is a saying that goes by Tony Robbins, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. And that's really what we are here for, to understand that what was invisible, what is a dream, is what we are passionate about, and how it is that we are going to turn that invisible into the visible, which is turning our dreams into a goal. Like we've already spoken of the topic, so it's ready, aim, goal for it. So we're talking about setting goals. It's a two-part process, setting goals as well as achieving goals. Setting goals is about deciding what is it that you want to do, whereas achieving goals is having your plan, your steps into achieving it. A lot of people initially find setting goal to be challenging. Eventually, when they wake up and they actually set a goal, what becomes more challenging is the steps or following the plans into achieving goals. There is a majority of people who find that to be extremely problematic, beyond challenging. Reason being, once when I've set a goal, if I have to go through the entire ordeal or the plan of working toward achieving it, a lot of times because of concerns that may arise, people are demotivated. Because it could be very challenging, because it requires a lot of discipline, because it requires forming new habits, a lot of people tend to give up. Therefore, a lot of people realize that goals are not meant for us. We've heard it. Why do we write it down? Why do I need to go through the entire thing? Let me just decide what I want to do and I'll go for it, which is great. But if in all these years you have not been able to go for it, there has to be a reason why you've not been able to go for it. What we are going to do here is find out what those reasons are. They say your goals need to be SMART, just like you. So let's understand what SMART goals are. SMART is the acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break each of them and understand each of them the way they are. So your goals must be specific. My first advice to everybody when you are setting a goal is to write down the goal. Your goal must be written down. It must be concrete. It must be on paper. This paper needs to be with you at all times. After you've written the goal, remember you have to make that as specific as possible. It cannot be ambiguous. When I say specific, let me give you an example. Your goals can be career goals, your goals can be academic goals, your goals can be a personal goal, it could be a health related goal, it could be a financial goal. So there are various types of goals and we are not limiting it to any one. Now for example, if you look at a goal and you say, I want a career goal or an academic goal, I want to reach certain percentage by the next quarter or by the next semester. What is it that you need to do to reach that goal? Firstly, put that on paper, all right, and be very specific about it. You cannot just say, I wish to lose weight, or I want to get a distinction. What is a distinction? Can you define distinction? That is something which is important. Definition of specific is extremely important. It has to be accurate. It has to be clear. You need to have clarity of it. By when do you want to set that goal? By when do you want to achieve that goal? These are things that you need to write down. So questions that you need to ask yourself. What is the goal? Let me define that goal. Let me break that goal down to a level that I understand that this is what I must do by a given period of frame of time. It needs to be time bound. Questions that will also help is, why is it that I want to set this goal for myself? When do I want to see myself achieving this goal? What are the efforts that I need to put down? All of this, when it's clear, when you have put it on paper, will help you define your goal in a much better way. So that's about being specific about goals. The next step to setting your goals is being measurable. S is specific, M stands for measurable. When we talk about measurable, our goals need to be measured from time to time. So if you've set a goal for yourself that you want to achieve in 1 year, that is in June 2018, what is it that you need to do so that you can measure your goal at every quarter? After you've done that, try breaking it down initially to maybe every week, then every month. What happens when you break the goal down and you can measure it periodically? You know where you stand, you know the efforts you've put in, you know if you need to put in more efforts because you probably will know if you're getting the results the way you wanted it. If you feel you're not getting the results, maybe you want to discuss it with somebody, you want to understand from them, you want to get advice, you want to read, you may want to upgrade. Upgrade to the sense that you will be able to then measure yourself and your goal as to where you stand and then decide if you would be able to achieve it in your time frame. If it requires extra effort, you would need to put in that effort. If you say that I have to achieve the goal by June 2018, June 30th, 2018, and if you wake up post 6 months somewhere in December, you may realize that you have to put in 2 or 3 times more the effort to reach that goal. As time would be passing and we would be probably whiling away things, putting it for the next day, procrastinating, which is not an effort, which is just going to be a delay in achieving your goals. This is one of the biggest setbacks because of which people do not achieve goals, and then we don't believe in the power of goals. So 1, write it down. 2, have a proper timetable. Maybe breaking it down into quarterly and then further breaking it down into weekly, bi-monthly or monthly, depending on the goal, depending on the effort that you're putting in, and then measuring yourself from time to time. You may have to change habits out here. If what you are doing every day is not reaching you to where you have to be, then post a week or post 2 weeks, you may have to change and break some old habits and inculcate newer habits. Very, very importantly, you will have to be extremely disciplined. Once when you get used to the newer habits, once when you get disciplined, you will realize that it becomes a habit. You never would have to work again toward changing things, because that will be a part of your routine. And those habits will help you, the newer habits will help you achieve your goals in your stipulated time. After you're able to measure your goal, you will see in a month or 2 how it is that you're developing and how is it that you're progressing toward achieving your goals. The third step, which is attainable. Each goal or each smaller goal that you've broken down so that you can measure needs to be attainable. After you attain every single small goal, you're more motivated toward achieving the bigger goal. So initially you may have to look at the big picture, but don't let that frighten you. This is what you've decided for yourself. You have to now put in the efforts to achieve that. You're going to break that bigger picture into smaller goals, which you will achieve every week, maybe bi-monthly, maybe monthly, quarterly, and then toward your goal. So once when you break it down, you need to understand how you're going to work. So you need to have a plan to work toward achieving the smaller goals. And every time you achieve a smaller goal, remember you're working one step ahead into achieving your goals. After you've crossed your initial phases and you realize that your newer habits are encouraging, you will automatically be extremely passionate about what you are doing, and those habits will become a part of you. You will automatically be disciplined toward achieving your big picture, the bigger goal. After this, we have R, which is relevant. Your goals must be relevant. The steps that you take toward achieving your goal must be relevant. You may want to discuss it with colleagues, you may want to discuss it with family, you may want to discuss it with friends. You may want to get an idea of what is happening and how it is that you are working towards those goals and making those goals relevant. Every step that you take is going to take you closer into achieving your goal, which has made it relevant for yourself, and you're waking up to realize that your goal is you're closer to what you want as your bigger picture, as the eventual goal. Finally, T, which is time bound. So every goal has to have a deadline. Every dream, as we spoke earlier, must have a deadline, because of which you must be able to set smaller deadlines for the smaller goals that you set for yourself to achieve the bigger one, to achieve the ultimate one. Now, these small deadlines need to be met every time. There could be a possibility that due to certain reasons, you may not be able to achieve a goal that you set for this month. That's perfectly fine. You may have to then change your plan to inculcate what you've missed out this month, as well as have what you have for the next month, so that you can eventually meet your goal by the deadline, by the eventual deadline. So in our example, if you've set a goal for June 30th, 2018, and if you've not been able to meet your deadline for June 2017, that's fine. Let's now see how it is that you can work out a plan, keep this part of it, keep your July goals as well as add the June goals to the July goals. but not move the date beyond June 30th, 2018. That needs to be constant. You can change your plan so that you achieve that goal. Don't push that into another month. When you do that, you're going to start getting back into your old habits of procrastinating. It will all be fine. And if that sets in, then that goal will not have as much value as it should have. So never change the timeline of your goal. Introduce newer things. You may have to wake up early. You may have to sacrifice a few of your personal errands. You may have to put in much more efforts than you are currently putting in. And you will have to twist and turn things so that you can accommodate the setback or things that you've not been able to do for a month into another month. You may have to replan the entire thing. You may have to re-strategize it completely. But that is still workable. Putting in the extra hours is only going to help you with your efforts toward achieving your goal. But if you don't do that, and if you push your goal to another deadline, then procrastination will just set in, and achieving that goal even at the new deadline is going to be a challenge. Because if there is another setback sometime during the year, you will be okay with pushing your goals ahead. That should not happen. You should not push your goals at all. There has to be a timeline, and we must stick with that timeline. So that's about your smart ways into setting your goals. Now, let's look at what is it that we can do, or the plans that we have into achieving our goals. So what is it that we must do to achieve our goals? A lot of times people find it very challenging because of things like we discussed. Procrastination is one of the biggest hindrances into setting a goal, more into achieving the goal. Along with procrastination, if you're unable to meet smaller goals, there is a lack of motivation. This lack of motivation kind of surrounds us in a way that we feel it's just not possible. At this point in time, I must tell you that even if it looks like it is not possible, get advice from people who have and who are willing to help you out, and keep pushing ahead. Because it may not look possible to you, but converting that dream, converting that invisible into the visible is what is going to make you feel motivated. Every step, every plan, every effort into converting the invisible into the visible is going to only help you further into achieving your goals, which in turn is going to help you find a purpose for yourself. Finding that purpose in life is going to just push you ahead. You're going to continue being passionate, because when that passion sets in, you're constantly motivated to move on. Please understand, do not let a setback pull you down. It is going to happen. It's not going to be very rosy. It's not going to be a very clear and clean road ahead. You're going to have a lot of obstacles, but overcoming those obstacles is going to help you achieve those goals. If you need advice, get advice. If you need help, get help. But find out a way to overcome every obstacle that comes your way. And obstacles will come your way. Once when you cross your obstacles, you will realize that it is simpler. It is easier. It isn't so difficult. It wasn't as overwhelming as you felt it was. And once when that happens, you start getting more confident. You automatically, once when you have goals, you automatically have a purpose to wake up every day to. You are automatically a more confident person, a more passionate person. You will exude a lot of positivity, and you will feel radiant about yourself. These are some of the things which are just going to help you with your purpose. What you also can do is understand, besides this, your purpose into some steps into setting your goals. Now, why is it again that a lot of people do not set goals? Let's understand that. A lot of us fear failure. a lot of us end up becoming very pessimistic. A lot of us are not motivated. A lot of us may be not encouraged by the people who are close to us. Sometimes we cannot bear rejection. A lot of times we do not have that level of confidence and self-esteem. But please understand, you need to have, for setting and achieving your goals, the first thing that you need to have is intrinsic motivation, internal motivation, where you wake up every day and say, look at your plan and say, all right, I did not achieve what I had to for last week. Let me understand what went wrong. Let me see now what is it that I need to put in as an effort into achieving it this week, along with what I have planned for this week. So you cannot differ from the plan that you have for the week. You need to stick with that plan and add what has to be, or what was left out from last week into this week, so that you can achieve what you want to. Another thing, why goals fail, a lot of times in my practice, what I've seen is a lot of us do not write down our goals, and that is one of the biggest reasons for your goals to fail. When you have a goal, when you set a goal, like I said earlier, the first thing that you must do is write down that goal. Be very specific and accurate about it. Let that goal not be ambiguous. So once when you've written down your specific goal and your plan, keep that with you in a place that you're going to be seeing regularly. Maybe on your study table, maybe on your workstation, some place where you would constantly look into it. All right. Be committed toward your goal, because that is one of the things that helps to achieve your goals. And this lack of commitment is one of the things that helps, or rather is one of the biggest failures into not achieving your goals. So you need to be committed toward your goal, committed toward yourself, committed toward your passion to set a goal, to achieve your goal. Be honest with yourself, be genuine with yourself. If there is something that you haven't done, you need to be able to be honest enough to understand that if you haven't done it, you need to push that for the next week or the next day, so that you are able to do it. Okay. Do not keep changing goals. Your goal needs to be constant. Your plan could change sometimes in the process toward achieving your goal, if required. So your plan can change. Reason, if you haven't been able to achieve it with your earlier plan and you've gotten advice, you want to change the plan so that you can work toward achieving that goal. Because when you move on another week or another month, you would be able to measure it, you would be able to measure your success, and you would be able to take it ahead from there. Let me give you a few tips in setting goals. So what are the things that will help you to set your goals and to be a little more accurate about setting your goals? One of the biggest things, like we said earlier, make your goal and let your goal be specific. And I would keep repeating that your goal needs to be specific. Your goal needs to be accurate. Your goal needs to be constant. Your goal, you need to have precision about your goals. If your goal is specific, you know what it is that you want to achieve, you know by when you want to achieve, you know your method of how you are going to achieve it. And once when you have that, it becomes much easier for you to be able to step into the steps toward achieving your goal. Another thing, choose goals that are worthwhile, choose goals that are achievable. Every time you achieve a smaller goal, understand that you can always motivate yourself, always reward yourselves in smaller ways, so that you feel motivated toward achieving the bigger goal. See that you measure your goals from time to time. Prioritize your time, prioritize your goals. Have a buddy who is going to constantly support you, who is going to constantly push you, who is going to constantly motivate you, and let yourself be a source of your motivation. Set deadlines continuously from time to time so that you can achieve smaller goals and move into a bigger one, move into the next level of your goal. Okay, reward yourselves constantly so that you know that you are feeling good about what you're doing and you feel motivated toward achieving the next level of goal. Remember, success comes to those who have set their goals well and who have a set action plan toward achieving that goal. So you set your goals, you make your plans, you get down to work, discipline yourselves, break old habits, make newer habits, see that those habits are constantly improved, stick with your plans and go achieve your goals. Finally, let me close with a wonderful quotation that I picked up by Henry David Thoreau. He says, "I have learned that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life he has imagined, he will meet with success unexpected in common hours." What I will do now is I'm going to look into the questions that are coming in and we'll answer those questions. We'll take those questions up. So we have a question that's come in which says, how can we help others with their goals? Some of the things, like what I've said earlier, instead of practicing it on yourself, what you would need to do is start practicing it with somebody else. So you would need to get down with the person and have the person discuss with the person, talk to the person, get to understand what is it that that person wants. If you feel the person is ambiguous, keep talking till you get to understand or get specific information out of the person and help design a goal for that person. But for that, the person who we are talking about needs to be focused and needs to be able or want to set a goal and want to achieve it. That is when you can help them. Otherwise, what happens is you would put in a lot of efforts, but if somebody is not committed to themselves and not committed to the goals, all your efforts would go down the waste. So what you would need to do is have somebody, have that person understand from the person what their goals are, sit there and set goals for them, have them set it for themselves if required, work out plans with them toward achieving it. While measuring goals, sit with that person, find out when is it that would be a good time for you to measure goals. If you think it has to be done weekly or bi-monthly or bi-weekly or monthly, find out a date, meet with people, meet with that person and sit there and find out what is it that they've achieved, what were the steps that they put in, what was their plan, what was the thing that they did every day, how is it that they couldn't achieve it if they did not, were they procrastinating, were they not committed, were they laid back, and then you need to work on newer plans toward achieving the goals. Let's look at another question. What is the first step to change your habit of procrastination? The first step to change your habit on procrastination is to first accept that you procrastinate. Once when you accept that you have something as a fault, something that pulls you back, is the first step into the change that you wish to see. So once when you know that you procrastinate, once when you know that you delay things for another time, what you would need to do is draw your time management matrix, find out what is urgent and important. Look at tasks which are always important, not urgent. Don't ever let it go into the bucket of urgent and important. So tackle tasks which are important at hand before they get into urgency. Avoid tasks which are not urgent and not important. A lot of times we spend about 70% of our time indulging in things which are not urgent and not important. Whereas we need to put in that much effort into tasks which are important, maybe not urgent at the moment, but important. If we tackle them at that time, they don't become urgent and important. If you must have certain tasks that crop up, at the last minute, which are urgent and important, then those are the tasks that you must take up immediately. All right then, I hope this helped you. Thank you.